Hi, and welcome to the Neuro Show, a show all about brain injury and breaking the barriers. And I'm your host, Sarah Palmer. We have a new setup here at Dundas Bay, so we're moving up in the world. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about something I know nothing about, home modifications. So we brought in John Grove from Accessible Daily Living, and he'll be here with us to talk about home modifications, what modifications are available, what costs are involved, and funding and grants that might be available. Special thanks to our sponsors, Oatley Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers. Hi John, welcome to the show.
Hi Sarah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, like I haven't seen you enough this week.
Absolutely. What was it, less than 24 hours?
I think this is the third time.
Absolutely, and better for it.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into home modifications and your background?
We only have a half hour, but I'll do it. So basically, it all started, my background's in physiotherapy. I went through schooling, got myself through physiotherapy, and started working for a few organizations. First and foremost was TTC. So I was doing the TTC Wheel Trans Assessment Program, obviously assessing people for the service. Then moving on to working in my, obviously, profession of physiotherapy at St. Michael's Hospital here in Toronto in the neurotrauma, orthopedics, neurology departments. I was there for 7 years full-time, 5 years part, worked my way through, and then got into the niche of insurance. Someone introduced me to insurance. It's more so related to personal injury. And, then the love grew with that. I loved the fact of helping people out and, looking at each person individually on their own individual merit. No two people are the same. And slowly, growing and started handling more significant files, files of larger loss from a personal aspect. And from there, as we're dealing with these, these files, and you're more aware, your acquired brain injury, traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, and so on and so forth. One of the main components is the home. And it's actually the biggest part of the whole process outside of resolution when you're coming towards a file. So a lot of it had to do with my own personal education, making sure that I was able to service the client properly, because there's a big amount of money that needs to go in at times for a home modification and creating inclusive design. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to service the client. So I started taking courses, attending seminars, and I really liked it. Now I don't have, hammer capabilities. I'm the worst at it, but I did have a fascination for design and creating a design that's great for people. So from there, and then I, met with my my now partner Pat Acquisto. Couldn't be here. He apologizes and sends his regrets. And he's the construction end of the project management, where he had the experience from the hands-on of creating the accessible environment, and I had the know-how and the why. Why we need an accessible space. How do we give that accessible space to an individual with a form of disability, whether it be acquired, whether it be congenital, and from a brain injury perspective, there are certain modifications that are specific to the need of an individual. So.
Okay. Yeah. So what type of modifications do you complete then?
So wide range. We do complete design from and even build. We do renos, we do additions, and from there we, obviously your elevators, your stair glides, your vertical platform lifts, ramps, accessible bathrooms, accessible kitchens, which is the trending these days, and also, we're looking at flooring, we're looking at widening doorways, automatic door openers. The list can go on, and obviously it deals with, it's more so specific to each person, so it can vary.
Okay, so how quickly can you get it done then if somebody?
Well, depending on immediate needs versus long term. Immediate needs, good in there. We're doing stuff to really get the person home, and then we're developing a strategy with the multidisciplinary team.
Okay. So what are the services you provide then?
Services, everything we do. We provide reporting services where we actually complete an accessibility home assessment. We go in there and we determine whether or not the house is safe to modify. And that's different. There's structural, it's from electrical, from plumbing, from size as well. Size and space has a great It plays a great part of it, and obviously land size. So if we're dealing with land size where there's obviously not the ability to build width and depth, then we're restricted. And at that point, we will, obviously offer them the ability to do alternative housing. We do estimation, we do architectural design. We work. Those are our professional services, and we actually do building audits for the commercial environment as well.
Okay, so what's typical then if somebody is injured, seriously, or a serious orthopedic injury or something like that, spinal cord injury, what typical modifications are done in their home then?
There's a term called visitability, and we have to meet, and that term is, initially you have to get the person in and out of the house. You have to worry about, okay, can they get in and out? Do you have 5 steps leading into the home? So really you want obviously to hit the first thing is, are you able to navigate from the exterior to interior of the home without any barrier? Secondly is to have an accessible bathroom in order to, obviously, for proper daily hygiene. And second of all, having an accessible bedroom adjacent or attached or close to the bathroom. That's what you want to achieve initially. Those are the basics, and the term is called visitability. So that's what we try to achieve on a minimal level. And it also depends on the type of funding that's available. There's multiple funding sources out there, and really we're also dealing with, they're costly. So we want to make sure that we get exactly what they need out right away, and then we work to see if there's any other potential for growth in terms of modifications.
So who might recommend you then, like the case manager or OT for safety, or?
Absolutely. So there, it really is from the team perspective. Occupational therapists are the functional gurus out there. They paint a really good picture of letting us know, what the functional abilities of the client are, what the capacities are, what their impairments, and from that, it gives us a really good outlook of what we need to achieve. Case managers help physiotherapists. They help us out in terms of determining what their, do they have increased fatigue, what's their balance like, and so on and so forth. So it really gives us a great picture. There's a really good measurable between functional and physical, but the big component is function, because you want to be able to do things in the home after modification. That's the whole purpose, right? You don't want to do a modification and it's all for naught. That's a failed project.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you'd have to do an overall kind of assessment.
Absolutely.
Right.
And we kind of break it down in terms of we look at the home, we say, okay, this is what the structure's like. We paint the picture that way. What are the modifications that we think will fit the home and fit the client? The cost analysis around that, providing a proposed layout, and also the different types of products that can be used. The elevator manufacturer, stair glide manufacturer, the manufacturer for a door opener, the manufacturer for the kitchen. Because there are certain manufacturers that do provide flexibility in design, and that's what we want. We want flexibility to work with the design so that in the time when the implementation happens for these products, we can mold to the client. And that's what it is. It is a custom job.
Okay. So when you're selecting a contractor or a specialist, which do you look for?
I know there's not much in terms of governing body. There isn't actually a governing body for home modifications. We're actually working for that right now. There's a group called Caregiver Omni Media, which has taken the bull by the horns and is trying to create a national council for home modification. But you're looking for someone who's experienced, can provide you references, and actually has attempted to get some type of certification in accessibility. March of Dimes provides a program, I know at least until I took it, where they offer a contractor training for accessibility. I did get my certification through Mount Royal University in Alberta for Canadian Specialists in Accessible Housing Design, and most recently ADL, myself and Pat, who are the primaries of the company, have received our Building Excellence Audit certification, which means that we are able to audit commercial and residential environments. So you're looking for someone with a knowledge. I mean, great from a functional occupational therapist are phenomenal, but you're looking with a contractor because you're not looking just for the eye of, okay, let's frame this wall, let's make this bathroom. There's so much more to that. There's got to be a synergy and a connectivity between the actual end user, the caregiver, caregivers involved, because there are dynamics involved in the household. You could have a parent who's been injured, has a head injury, and there's 2 children and the other parent. So from that perspective, that's a huge part of it. So you need someone who understands dynamics, the structure, and what the disability is to a basic level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've come across some people who have made home modifications with people who had no experience in disability or brain injury, and that can lead to an array of problems, I think.
Absolutely. From our perspective, what happens is that people tend to go, and look, unfortunately these days you almost have to be rich to be disabled, and that goes for modifications. And what happens is they tend to go for the family friend or the jack of all trade handyman that, so, oh, don't worry, I can get this done. They can, but they don't understand the disability and they don't understand the need. And what I mean by need is not just for today, but lifespan. If this where you're living is a forever home, a forever apartment or condo, then you have to be able to satisfy the need for the lifespan. And those are the questions that we ask, and that's important to ask. Is this a forever home? Is this somewhere where you want to be? I know you're raising children. Are your children going to be a part of your household and your life for a long period of time? Because we have to take in consideration the dynamics of the family. So these are certain questions that aren't asked at times, and more often than not, we're called, hi, this has happened, they butchered the job or they didn't do it properly, can you come in and fix it? And and it's costly. You don't want, they're already affected on a negative level by having this disability, and also changing the landscape of their home, and also making it costly. And to add costs on top of costs, it's really it's disheartening to us as a company where people aren't being educated or don't have the know-how to get to people who are right. And there's a few companies out there like us that are capable, but they're not giving the right notoriety and exposure, like ADL, to service the people. And there should be some consideration that if it's an accessibility issue, general contractors unfortunately don't have the wherewithal or the education to support them.
Yeah. Also, it's a vulnerable population, especially with brain injury. They
Absolutely.
could easily be taken advantage of. The contracting can go on for a long period of time.
Absolutely.
So it's best to have somebody who's worked within this industry, or you can recommend, instead of just finding somebody. Anyways, we've got to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to ask more questions to John and learn more about home modifications.
You got it.
So remember, tune in to the new show, Talking Sports, with Rosie and the Gooch, Paul Rosen, and Kerry Goulet on the Disability Channel. We will be in your front door and in your back door and in any door you want. We're going to be here every week.
Hi, and welcome back to the Neuro Show. I'm here with John Grode talking about home modifications, and we're here in our new studio on Dundas and Bay. It's much more comfortable.
I love it. The couch area, I don't get this at home. I got 2 kids and a wife that take up the majority of my space. I'm pretty much left on the floor without a carpet or a blanket or a pillow. So this is fun.
Oh, geez, you poor guy.
This is not going to get aired. I hope my wife is not watching this or even getting a tweet, but she'll probably give me grief when I get home. But
well, someone needs to put you in your place, I think. What is AODA?
So, obviously, this is more so from a provincial standpoint. In the United States, there was an act, came ADA, which is American Disabilities Act, that came into play in 1994. As a country, we haven't followed suit, but as a province, we have. So in 2005, we created the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, which basically protects the rights and the needs of individuals with visible and non-visible disabilities in the province of Ontario. And that's where there's a bit of a shortfall. It's only right now in the province of Ontario. There is a movement to be fully accessible on 5 different levels, 5 standards in terms of accessibility. There's the built environment, which I'm directly involved with. There is customer service, information and communication, employment standards, and general standards. They play a huge role in our industry, and you alluded to this before we went on break. We're dealing with a vulnerable society, persons in society, and you have to be sensitive to that. And one of the issues I have is a lot of the contractors, individuals involved in this, aren't fully, in a sense, haven't fully given enough time to educate themselves on individuals with disabilities and how accessibility plays a part. And from that perspective, I push everyone in my company, everyone in our company is fully certified. There are 5 standards. You can get yourself certified with any company. You can Google it, and I know it's online. You can find it, and people can get it done. And it's really for employees and how to engage people with disabilities. And so from my perspective, I provide a service. I am a company. When I approach my clients, I'm lucky enough to have a background in medical rehabilitation that I absolutely appreciate. But I do have staff who are intake coordinators, bookkeepers, accountants. I have my general foreman, my supervisors, my project manager, and construction managers that don't have that medical background, that I need to make sure that they're sensitive to the needs and how we should approach and provide our services and products to our clients. So that's the AODA is a very important piece of legislation, along with the legislations that we have, the Human Rights Code, and obviously the Statutory Accident Benefit Schedule as it relates to motor vehicle insurance accidents. And yeah, it's very, very important that, and obviously the Ontario Building Code plays a factor as well into that. But these are all legislations that are supporting individuals with disabilities.
Okay, so before we get into cost, can you name some specific modifications that might help someone with brain injury?
Really, a lot of the times is flooring, tactile response, and not having a threshold, having smooth, transition-free flooring that has not a light color, maybe some, depending on the type of head injury and where it's been affected, you want something with a tactile response, continuous, warm, and...
Why warm?
Just in terms of warm, in terms of feeling, because you don't want to resonate cold.
Okay.
Just everybody doesn't want to be cold. No one wants to be cold, but a warm floor like a cork flooring or an underlayment underlay underneath a laminate flooring. Hardwood is fairly thick, but something that's warm and safe. But transition free is the most important part of it. Color too. Some people don't put a lot of attention to color of paint on the wall. Most people don't know that some individuals with a head injury see the color red as black. So if you have a black couch and a red wall or some kind of red tones in a room, it may set off the client to not actually know where they are spatially, and may cause them to obviously overwork themselves and become agitated, and that's what you don't want, right?
So do you do that too, painting? Or?
Oh yeah, we do that. We do a painting, and we actually work with a team to, and we'll find that out as part of, if we're working on a personal injury file, we'll find that out very quickly. Or what we do is from a common private pay, as we call it, or through other funding sources, we ask, can you tell us your disability? And if they're forthcoming, we're better informed, and we're more prepared. Better prepared to provide them the right type of modification. Okay. So it's a huge factor. But yeah, there's specifics. There's everything from even from motion lighting. Instead of having them look for a light switch, the light just goes on as they enter a room. Well, allows them to just focus on ambulation.
Okay. What are cost-containing modifications?
So obviously everybody thinks that, oh my God, I got to renovate my house and I got to, do so many things. There's so many little things. And one thing I did mention to you was the lighting. You can put in a motion light switch in your house, which you can buy at Home Depot for $30 or $40. That will allow you to transition from one room to another without flipping a switch. You can look at furniture, the type of furniture that's in your house, to create a bigger space. And by that, you may not have to obviously provide an addition to the home, or or take down a wall to create a universal, inclusive design layout, which is obviously less walls, less barriers, and more of an open concept space. Furniture has a huge part. You can, you look at also if you work with carpeting, that's loose carpeting, roll it up, tuck it away, it's a tripping hazard. Little things like that. Inside the bathroom as well, take out the mats and make sure that there's no tripping hazard. Okay,
so what's the most expensive modification?
I would have to say, if it's in a house without a renovation, it is an elevator.
Oh,
elevator, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so what about funding? How can someone get this covered? Are there grants?
There are. So obviously from we do know motor vehicle insurance coverage. There's March-of-Dimes Canada, which obviously supports pediatric and the elderly as well in terms of anybody with a disability. Their maximum payout for that is one lifetime at $15,000 per user, so you're going to have $15,000 to play with. There is President's Choice financial charities for the pediatric community for the kids, Easter seals for children, and so on and so forth. And there are some, there's Toronto Renovates, and the Renovates program is in your own municipality. Check with your, City of Toronto, City of Brampton, City of Mississauga. They will all have their own programs. Start early. This is a time where people need to fill out applications. Okay. Actually, maybe a little late for the new year so that they can access those funds.
Okay, so they can Google all that.
Absolutely. Google is a fantastic word.
And where can someone get more information or education about home modifications?
Well, they can always come to our website at www.accessibledailyliving.com. They can always talk to their physiotherapist, occupational therapist, family doctor for some insight as to where to go. Okay,
great. Well, that's some excellent information, a lot of information, so thank you. And we'll be right back after this break.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ann Chatton with Bring Back the Game. You're watching the Disability Channel, a channel by disabled persons for disabled people to showcase ability. Thank you for supporting us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Bring back the game.
Hi, and welcome back to the Neuro Show. We're here today with John Grove from Accessible Daily Living. Talking about home modifications. So John, thank you so much for coming. You are a wealth of knowledge. I know you have tons of different types of experience. Yeah, so they're back at you.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for watching our show. If you want more information, you can follow us on Twitter at The Neuro Show. You can check out our website, neuroconnect.ca. And if you'd like to connect with me, provide me or sorry, I'm not able to talk today. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, would like to contribute to the show, anything like that, you can email me, info@neuroconnect.ca, or call me 416-999-2383, and we'll see you next time.